thoughts?
I definitely want to answer this next question. Someone's asking me if there's anything in particular that's kept me away from the AA program and what I'm doing to continuously work on myself. You mentioned that you meditate. So what does that practice look like? Is there anything else that you found particularly helpful? Okay, so there's a lot of questions in this one question, but okay, so nothing in particular has kept me away. Now, I haven't been very forthcoming, or I guess I haven't been, I don't know. When I decided to quit drinking, this was 2 years ago when Matt and I when we were actually at our engagement party. It was a decision that happened right after my father's death. And my father was an alcoholic. I was reacting really weird to the alcohol. Like I started getting hives all of a sudden. Literally, the smell of vodka, right? Obviously that was my drink of choice, got me really red and flushed all of a sudden. I was always that proud Asian American that never got flushed, when she drank. And I was able to always drink so much of it. And then I just feel like my dad's death, because I'm still learning, you guys, how to feel my feelings, how to be vulnerable, how to mourn. Like I literally just did this show, Long Island Medium, where she talked to my father like a few days ago. And I was just bawling my eyes out for 2 hours straight. Didn't even say a word really. And so I feel like just that, like having to really feel all of my feelings from when I got sexually abused as a kid to the abusive relationships I had, to anything. Like I'm just feeling it the last 2 years.
Wow.
Now, when it comes to AA, sorry?
No, I was going to say, it really makes me feel good to know that you were able to release a lot of those tears.
God. Right.
Because they're there.
No,
sooner or later, and because you're a tough cookie, let's admit that.
That's the surface that you guys see, but really deep down inside, I'm very insecure and
Well, but just honestly, to hear you say that you cried a lot, it makes me feel good. Not that you're crying, but to know that sooner or later, you got to go through the grieving process.
I know.
When I say you're a tough cookie, you have a tough exterior. I know underneath,
and that's all fake.
You're a Care Bear underneath. I know.
But as far as like an AA program goes, I have actually been, especially now that I'm not dancing as much, I've been really curious about joining one, and possibly, if they'd have me still joining AJ and Renee's program. I've been in therapy my whole life. Huh?
With open arms. We would welcome you with open arms.
Whenever you're ready, babe.
Our crew would be so stoked to have you.
But again, let me tell you my real feelings about it. It's nothing to do with the AA program or what I should or should not be doing. It's more about the fact that the anxiety with meeting new people, I still have it. I still have this social anxiety, which I would numb normally, right? Because then I'd be able to be the class clown. But like, that's not who I am. I'm very introverted naturally.
Trust us. All of us felt the same way the first time. You just do. I came in like looking around thinking, like these people, they know what they're talking about, steps, they're talking about this. And I felt intimidated, to be honest with you.
But like, it helps me to know that you guys are there, obviously. But as far as therapy goes, I've been in therapy since I was 4 years old, and I still am in therapy. That's how I've been dealing, on top of meditation as well, just to answer that last part of the question.
It's like anything else. The first time you join us, you're like scared. Mm-hmm. But after that, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then little by little, you're like, oh, these are like my family.
Well, I think hearing other people's stories help.
Stay home. I'm staying home.
Good. I don't have to give you my alcohol and talk to you. I might as well just do it by myself.
I ended up drinking by myself, And
totally.
It's funny that
that was.
And it's funny that we call it partying when you're at home by yourself drinking.
Well, I always said that I'll never drink alone, and then I started drinking alone way too much. Like literally, before every interview, I would be drunk. Not drunk, but I would have like a to-go cup with tequila and vodka. Whoa, that's big time. Tequila and soda. And I got called out on E by Jason Kennedy. I was co-hosting and I was really nervous. And so I brought a little tiny shot of tequila with me to the set, because I get really nervous, not as much now, but this was like years ago, you guys, like maybe a decade ago. And then he said, we were mic'd and our mics were hot. And he goes, why do you smell like, is that tequila, Cheryl? And I'm like, no. And I knew I had a problem.
Like, that's this new perfume I'm wearing.
It's funny
called Tito's.
It's funny how we end up powering through the things we said we'd never do.
Oh, totally. And
right?
we make justifications. I mean, we totally do.
Whatever. It's for the nerves,
It's because I'm nervous. You try doing this.
Yeah, exactly. I remember one time we were touring Europe and we had just gotten to Lyon, France, and I went downstairs to get a drink. And then this guy, he sits me down and he's one of those, experts, wine experts, sommelier or whatever they're called. And I just want to get drunk. And he's taking me through this whole process. He's opening up this big leather bound book with dust on it, their whole collection. He's explaining and I'm like, dude, just give me wine. I don't care. Like, I don't care what it is.
I don't want to know the lineage of where this wine came from.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, we would party so hard. Sorry, go ahead.
Not ask. Let's get to the next question.
Yeah, let's do that. I've got stories for days.
Yeah. So do you think that mental health issues and addiction always go hand in hand in some way or another? Do you think that alcohol in excess will always bring out the worst in people? Or do you think it varies person to person?
Definitely
I think it varies, but
it definitely varies because there are some people I've known in my life that actually have an allergy to alcohol. They can't drink it.
That's what started with me. I became flush all of a sudden.
Yeah, like they can't drink it, and so they don't drink it because they physically can't. And some might say that we as alcoholics have an allergy to alcohol.
Well, it says it in our book.
Exactly.
But what happens when people say, when people are actually more normal drunk than they are? You know what I'm saying? Like they can handle, she can handle her booze. Like
those are functioning alcoholics,
right.
But
that's the thing. It's hard to, with these questions, it's important for us to say, it's hard to generalize. I know some people that go, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, they become mean, they become aggressive, they're belligerent. And there are some people that are the happy drunks that are just, everything's funny to them. They're nice.
That was me when I first started drinking, and then
I got angry.
After I got married, when I started drinking again in excess, I became irritable. I became angry. I became a groper, if you will. I would touch people randomly, guys, girls, didn't matter. I became very loud and almost obnoxious. Where before, I was pretty much like I am every day. I was pretty lighthearted. I was fun, talkative. You wouldn't really know that I was completely obliterated. But
then you have to chase
as time went on,
it's just not working anymore.
Well, yeah, and once it stopped working, and though secretly in my little cave in my head, I'm feeling worse and worse and worse about myself, to the point where the drink didn't make me feel better anymore. It made me feel, as I'm drinking, I feel more like a piece of shit.
Right, which is
so I'm going to treat everybody like
yeah. You're triggered. You're being triggered.
It's called, you've heard people in recovery talk about when the drink stopped working, and you just described what that means, which is we used to be able to drink and quiet those negative voices, but then we're drinking so much and they're still there.
Yeah.
It's not working anymore.
Exactly.
And that's a horrible place to be when you cannot stop and you can't keep doing it.
That's when the drugs start.